Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Aftn Soccer Show. We're also going to be broadcasting this on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, but for tonight only, one night only, we're celebrating a Whitecaps win live on YouTube to everyone's houses worldwide because it's such a big occasion. Everyone worldwide wants to hear about this. I am Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'll just let everyone know we're live by tweeting this out. Here we go. So now we are good to go. Welcome, as I said, to tonight's AEW All Out post-game show, where we're going to be chatting about some fantastic action in the ring. That's what I had planned. I thought that was maybe going to be our fallback to talk about that. I haven't had a chance to watch AEW, so please, no spoilers in the YouTube chat on Twitter. I'm going to watch it after we finish this. I know Steve's been watching it, so I'm sure he won't spoil it for us.
I was watching it, doing the match report, and watching the game itself. So it was like...
Yes, Zach? You're muted.
Sorry, I muted. So if I start talking about all the wrestling results right now, you're going to be really, really upset?
Yes.
Like if I start talking about the one guy in spandex beat up the other guy in spandex.
Oh, spoiler! Don't spoil it. As long as you didn't mention anyone in masks, we're okay. It was fun. If anyone gets a chance to watch the Whitecaps scrums after the game, because I chose not to go to BC Place for this, you have to wear masks at the stadium. So everyone on the post-game scrums are wearing masks, apart from me. I've got to say, it improved a lot of them. They look a lot sexier with their masks on. I might be starting to get a mask fetish during this whole COVID thing, I've got to say.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone.
Zach still
I'll let you, yeah.
But we're not here to talk about my sexy perversions. And unless you want, let us know in the chat. I'm here all night, baby, as they say. It's going to be one of these kind of after-hours shows, I feel, because it's exciting. This, as I tweeted out, this is what it feels like when doves cry, when the Whitecaps win. I had almost forgotten what it was like. I know we won that game against Chicago in Orlando. That doesn't count. We've got a lot to talk about. For example, who is going to be the first person to get a Jake Nerwinski goal machine tattoo?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when he scored that goal. It was very Jordan Harvey-esque, being in the box like that and pouncing on a shot.
I think that's a good comparison. But yeah, he obviously doesn't have the pedigree that Jordan Harvey, has. But no, yeah, you got to be happy for Jake. But yeah, I mean, like you, Michael, yeah, definitely surprised. I mean, based on, how I thought things were going to go based on our pregame chat. And I got some things right, but not everything right.
Well, I said a team was going to score 3 goals, so I'm taking that. I'm quite happy with that.
I said Cabo was going to score.
I didn't think the Whitecaps were going to score at all. I think I predicted 4-0 or something like that. I was so I was so negative towards the Whitecaps for once. Maybe I should keep doing that then.
Steve, you had 4-0. Michael, you had 3-0, and I just had like Whitecaps losing, right?
Yeah, I think you had 3-1, maybe. I'm not sure. I do want to give a shout out because at one point this looked amazing. We've got a Whitecaps media WhatsApp group, so we're posting some predictions in that. So I want to give a big shout out to Harjeet Jahal, our journalist. Her prediction was wrong in the end. She said it was going to be 1-1 with Cava scoring for the Whitecaps and Asoria scoring for TFC. So at one point during the game, that looked a pretty spot-on prediction, but obviously that did not hold. I felt I jinxed it when it was 2-1 and I tweeted out, oh, this is exciting. We're going to be able to talk about a win on the post-game show. And then about 3 minutes later, TFC leveled it up. But it's fine. It came good in the end. So we've got a lot of things to get into. I've taken some notes for this one, and I've jotted down some notes from the post-game scrums as well, which I don't think you guys have had the chance to hear. But let's
I actually listened to the Cava one and the Jake one, those two.
Oh.
Yeah. It was on Twitter.
They were all in fine form. So, I mean, that was good. Right, let's kick things off. The lineup. there was a few surprises, some omissions that were maybe surprising. But when you saw that lineup, Godoy was back in. We were back to 4 in the back. We had Theo Bayer, Lucas Cavallini leading the line. Jordi Reyna, not even in the game day 18. When you saw that lineup, what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thought that I wasn't surprised at all about the midfield because there's no other options. Apparently, now this is the midfield going forward for until they get some guys back. I was a little bit surprised about the Jordi Reyna. I thought everything had been solved and resolved. I don't know if it's a knock in training or they announced anything. I didn't. Might have missed it in the broadcast or something.
Well, the broadcast did say something, which I had to sign down for a big chunk of the broadcast because I was still editing my East 5 podcast, which is due out in 2 hours and I haven't finished editing it yet. So hopefully we don't go on too long tonight. But I know word was that Paul Dolan had maybe indicated that it was more disciplinary things. Now, MDS was asked post-game if that was true, and he's like, no. That's been picked up completely wrong. That is not the case.
Maybe
But
Paul was talking.
Why?
Yeah, maybe Paul was talking about what had happened before, and
I'm thinking it might be that.
He made it sound like it was in the present or something like that. So maybe that's where there was miscommunication. But
I think that might have been what it was. But I mean, he didn't say what it was. So I mean, for me, he was healthy. He's not on the game notes as being injured. If it's not a disciplinary thing, he's surely getting traded, and you want to keep him healthy and not injured.
The other surprises were Godoy being on the right hand side. I didn't expect him to. I thought if he comes back, he maybe starts in the middle, not something where he runs up and down and possibly injures himself again. And then the other surprise was the fact that Rose was still in the back line and Ranko was taken off. I was surprised about that.
Yeah.
Just a quick update for you from the chat. Apparently, MDS said on the radio that Reyna needs to show more in training.
Okay.
So
that's very interesting because on Friday on Reyna's Instagram, he posted, "Good training session, feeling really good."
Maybe that was in order to get ahead of the story.
Yeah,
and if you're being outperformed in training by, I know maybe he's got a better attitude now, but if you're being outperformed by David Milinkovic, Google his stories from England. If you're being outperformed by him in training, that's not a good sign for you at all.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about what you were surprised about. I agree with some of that what Steve said. In one sense, though, I wasn't surprised about Reyna, not because I thought or knew there was issues, but just based on what they've done recently, I wasn't surprised that he didn't start. And like in Orlando, he's very useful off the bench. I was surprised about Godoy because I didn't know if he was ready to go or not. And it looked like they were setting that up to be like a 45-minute first outing for him, which worked out okay. Maybe we'll talk about that more later. I was probably more surprised by the attempt at a diamond in midfield. I don't know if you can call it a true diamond or not, but how they set that up, I didn't see that coming. And it feels like MDS and the coaching staff are literally trying anything to get things going, and maybe they've hit on something with what they did tonight. I think it helped them. It helped them in midfield have numbers against TFC. I just thought they were going to suffer more out wide, and they did in one sense, but not enough to lose the match.
Yeah, especially if you consider 43 crosses for TFC against 11. But the thing is that percentage-wise, TFC only connected on 19% of those crosses. So that was a big difference there.
Yeah, I was just getting the stats up. 22 shots for TFC to 7 for us. You can have as many shots as you want. If they go in, who cares? If they don't go in, then you've got issues.
And the thing is 9 on target too. And they scored 2 on 9, while Vancouver scored 3 on 3.
Yeah, and then they came close. There was a couple of saves by Thomas Asal. There was the woodwork kind of saved us. And I think it was written in the stars that tonight was going to be the night. And I asked MDS after the match, just what his overriding feeling was coming out of it. Was it satisfaction? Was it relief? Was it joy? And for those of you listening on the podcast, I'll play for you just now what he said. But for everyone that's watching the stream, I'll explain what he said. So basically, MDS is saying it was relief, and it obviously happy to get the points. He knows there's things to work on, so there's some joy there as well. But just the relief that there was positive signs, because he needed to see a reaction from this squad. And Jake Nowinski talked about in his post-game scrum as well. When they got back from the trip out east, they all sat down. They had a meeting as a group with the management, and then the players sat down without the management and had a meeting themselves. Yeah, so whatever was said worked. And I mean, there's a lot still to improve on, and we'll get through all that as we go through it. But I mean, I'll be honest, when we agreed we were going to do a live post-game show, I was kind of dreading it, because I thought, I don't want to have to sit here for an hour and a half and just be all negative again, because it wears you down. And I'm relieved, because it's a sense of relief. It's a weight off your shoulders that we're getting to talk about some positive stuff with the club. That's why we want to be here. We want to be talking positively about the club. And yes, there's a lot that was not good tonight, but let's focus first on the positives. And we scored 3 goals. We were having a little chat. I think Zach had posted it in our chat just before we took the lead off. It was a novel game plan the Whitecaps seemed to have, which was playing the entire match in their own half to start with, because we were struggling to get out of that half and just get that ball moving at all.
Yeah, the game did not start well. The game started. It was like a continuation of the previous 2 matches, and I think something needs to be said too about the TFC lineup and how they approach things, because there was obviously things that were going to be changed. Like Michael Bradley's injured, so Liam Fraser comes in, and Akinola's fit, so they want to get him some time, so they start him ahead of Josie.
Yeah, for an easy game like this.
Exactly. The biggest thing though, and I can't remember. I think he played one or both or parts of both, but one of the key figures for TFC, whatever you think of him, whatever you think of his quality or what he's worth or whatever, one of the most significant players for TFC in this 3 or 4 year run has been Chris Mavinga, because they are not very great at the back, and they need Chris Mavinga and his pace and his defensive abilities to help compensate. And Laurent Simon has a lot of great footballing attributes, but he has not been great defensively in his time in MLS since, well, going back to maybe Montreal, maybe even that's why I think Bradley let him leave LAFC.
Well, you saw Theo Bair just leave him for dead in the second half, was it? It's all blurring into one now. I think it was the second half.
That to me, the whole when I
that was the first half.
Oh,
yeah, it was for when I step back and look at the game as a whole. One of the most significant things about it was Mavinga not starting, in terms of things that impacted the game. But you're right, Michael. The game started, and it looked like Vancouver just was like, you have to assume it was not the plan, but they just literally felt like they sat back, or they allowed TFC to just dictate the play, and just I don't know if they dropped deep or they just didn't push up, the few times they did clear the ball, whatever. But those first, whatever it was, 15, 16 minutes, it was not fun to watch. It was not good to watch. It felt again like another training session, and all the Whitecaps had were like clearances and long balls and nothing going forward. And then out of nowhere, one ball played wide, a really good cross in, not great defending. I believe it was Simon who was at fault, and you have a nice finish by Lucas Cavallini, and Vancouver's in the lead.
It felt like to me like TFC was looking to get rolling right off the bat, and they were looking at Vancouver as a wounded animal and not letting them get any kind of strength or whatever, keep them down, get that early goal, and completely sap any kind of goodwill they have at playing at home. And that's what it felt like to me. Like, and I think Vancouver, I don't think they had the people to play and kind of basically be able to take that on. they weren't able to like break out or anything like that and maintain possession because they're not a possession team. So that kind of really went against Vancouver. I think that's the reason why. I think TFC really wanted to get that early goal. And the fact that Vancouver, like Zach said, Vancouver got that early goal, Baldissimo with a great switch. We don't see that often at all, like where somebody's, and then because of the great switch, Aliad had so much time on that left-hand side to set up the cross.
Oh, it's a lovely cross as well. Perfectly swung in by Ali.
And it wasn't easy for Cavallini to get that because that bounced off the ground and it could have bounced any which way, but it was a solid bounce and he headed it straight in.
You can imagine the relief as well going through Cava. He talked during the week that his confidence was still there. It's not been knocked. He was taken off penalty duty. It didn't say who was going to be taking the penalties, probably Ali, but it was said that if there's a penalty, Cava is not taking the penalty. So it's like, phew.
Or they could have declined. They should decline penalties from now on.
Oh, actually, since we're talking about penalties, what did you make of TFC's penalty midweek? The farcical thing where you're 1-0 down, you've got a chance to tie it up against local rivals, and you just think, oh, I'm going to be a smart ass and try a circus trick.
I mean, the fact that if it had been a 0-0 game, it would be different. But even then, it wasn't even just that. I mean, it was those things you said, Michael, but it was more. They were going for the opportunity to like break the record for most whatever wins or undefeated games or whatever it was in like MLS history in league play or something ridiculous. And to lose it on that was awful. And the clips that TSN played in terms of the impact, I forget who it was. Was it Brogier? No, it wasn't Brogier. I forget who it was, but I think they were wearing a mask. But saying like, look, when you disrespect the game that way, when you disrespect your opponents that way, this is what should happen to you, kind of thing, right? And it felt like
I can't, like, Panenka's I can't be bothered with because I just think it's showboating for the sake of showboating, and it's a bit disrespectful to your opponents as well, and you're making it all about you and not the team. If you're a few goals up and you do it, maybe, but that there's no excuse for that. And I know Cruyff did it years ago. It was like when the first ones, Cruyff was the one that did this, and legend. It's disrespectful. It's idiotic. And I mean, there's questions actually as to whether the goal should have stood, but there was a bit of encroachment, so maybe it should even have been retaken because there was encroachment by both teams. But
no, but the real
either way, it was idiocy.
The real encroachment was from Piatti, which that doesn't allow it to be retaken. That's why it wasn't given, and that's why they didn't get to take it again. But
it was just idiotic.
It was ridiculous.
And the thing is I think also you were mentioning Cruyff. I think Messi and Suarez actually did it and super successfully did it with Barcelona. But the thing is about that is, and the thing is, the karma really hit them hard in that game too, because they lost badly in that game, and now they lose this game. It's like what if this is an amazing turnaround where they start losing and Montreal actually makes it in, because they're pumped up right now. I'm assuming after this result.
Hey, we're still in with a shout here.
I was going to say, Steve, so you want Montreal to beat Vancouver in the next two games, eh?
No, nothing like that at all. I'm just saying that from their perspective, that they have they at least they have a chance now going forward.
So do we. And as long as there's a chance, it keeps us alive and it keeps us something to talk about. And if it isn't us, and I can't believe I'm saying this after everything that went on in the past, I hope it is Montreal. They're a likable team right now under Thierry Henry. And they're playing some nice football. And I feel once he fully has them clicking, because he's sorted the defence out, it feels, once he's got that attack clicking, which hopefully doesn't come in the next two games against us, but I think they're going to be a real contender under him.
The thing is, MDS has a history of giving away Canadian championship games.
Michael, are you? Oh man, Michael, are you going to be the one to ask Mon Ami TT about the surface at BC Place? Are you going to allow one of the others?
Oh, is he going to show up for the game?
Well, not. I mean, that's not that clever, but I mean, someone's got to say something about what he thinks about the surface.
Oh, well, me and him's like this now after all the conference calls we've been on. It's like, I mean, I'll be honest. a guy that started a fanzine in his bedroom in Scotland in 1989 to be sitting like 30 years later in my bedroom in Vancouver talking to Thierry Henry, it's a very weird situation. I'm not in my bedroom here, just to point out if anyone's watching. I maybe confused folk in the Whitecaps stream because I started off in my bedroom, and then by the time the stream finished, I was back down here. They might have been like, he's changed his background.
So you only talk to TT in your bedroom?
Yeah. I have to have a special quiet place for that.
I think his Arsenal side also might have tried a penalty like Toronto tried, I think.
Oh, interesting.
I think him and Robert Pires did, I think.
Let's move on, because I want to finish this hopefully before midnight. Otherwise, I'm going to be up till 3 a.m. watching the All Out stream. So, we covered the first goal. It's 1-0 Whitecaps. It's like, woohoo, against the run of play, very much. 8 minutes later, Cava's best childhood friend, Jonathan Osorio, makes it 1-1. Well taken goal. You have to ask questions though about the space that was given, not to him, but to
Pozuelo.
Pozuelo.
Was it Pozuelo or Piatti?
It was Pozuelo on the edge of the box. It's like that was a lot of room. And again, it's what we went back to last year. Midfield not closing, tracking guys down, and giving these guys acres of room to do what they want with the ball.
Yeah, this was Baldissimo with that. It wasn't able to close down. I think it was Baldissimo and possibly Tybert. I can't remember if it was Baldissimo and Wosu. But yeah, he had and it was a well taken, like you said, right off before he even hit the ground. He basically volleyed it before he hit the ground and just sliced it in there. Hassel with no chance at all in that one.
You're talking about the first goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Soria goal.
Yeah, it was very, very poor marking at the back post.
Oh, Godot, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they said on the broadcast or we were talking about it or what, but it felt like they were targeting him.
Which would make sense because I mean, he's just in, and it's like it's not his number one position, although he did play well towards the end of last season when he was tried out there. Godoy, though, was pulled off at half-time, so check that off the Aftn bingo box. Lucky lad. I tried that, didn't work. Had to just make do with a coffee. But MDS said afterwards, and I think I wrote this down. Let's have a look. I've got so much stuff written down here. Maybe he didn't. Anyway, he just felt that it wasn't, if things weren't going for him, he was getting a bit tired out there, so brought Jake on. It made sense. I was concerned at halftime though that TFC were getting back into it, and when they tied it up at 1-1, I was like, oh, here we go, just because of what the possession was. But I mean, full fair play at the Caps. The second half, they came out with a belief, and TFC again dominated quite a bit of the match,
especially the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, but we didn't give up, and that was the good thing. We didn't give up a goal. Obviously, we didn't give up either, but we didn't give up a goal. But then 2-1. What a strike by Baldy. Take a bow. And I don't know what was better, the strike or the celebration afterwards.
The strike.
Okay.
And he landed the celebration, though, which is good.
Yeah. He channeled his inner Robert Earnshaw by landing and not his inner Andre Lewis by not.
Yeah.
Of course, Andre Lewis did that in a pre-season game against Juvic.
Yeah.
Pick your moment, son.
But he made it on television with that.
True.
Yeah, that's true. They showed, I don't know if it was in the broadcast or it was just in the Sportsnet after, they showed a video of him doing that celebration when he was 8 years old. Tonight's was a little bit better than when he was 8.
Oh, I never saw that. That's fantastic. I was really pleased for Baldy because like we've known the three Baldy brothers that came through the residency. There is a fourth one that no one really talks about. It's kind of like Trump's daughter that no one even bothers about anymore. But
you know his name? You know, like, Steve, you're putting his photos.
It's like a family shot.
We got copyrighted by MLS. Now we're going to get copyrighted by the Baldissimo family.
The Baldissimo family. That's lovely.
There's the fourth one at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's a lovely photo. He's still really young, so I mean, he might come through residency. I don't know if he's even in pre-residency or whatever. But Mark was the first. He's playing soccer locally. He's involved in coaching now. Matthew, we know, is with Pacific F. Talk about a CPL at the end of this as well. He's having a good season under Pamadou Ka. But for Michael, with everything that he went through last season, so delighted for him to be getting a run in the team, but to get that goal as well.
Yeah,
what that will do for confidence is tremendous. I mean, MDS said afterward, he challenged him that he has to show that he deserves to be in the starting lineup and keep his place in the team. I think he did that tonight, not just with a goal, but with a lot of his overall play.
Well, he got the second assist on the Kava goal with that switch. He got this goal, and the tackling he did. There was I know we said something that he didn't cut him down, the Pozuelo there on TFC's first goal, but there were moments, especially in the second half, where he really was disrupted TFC's flow through the midfield. There were minor little things. He would get the ball back, chip it away off them. He wouldn't be able to maintain possession, but he kind of slowed them down. He chipped away at their possession. So I think very important things that he did there in the midfield.
Okay, so Michael, you mentioned his injury, whatever, last year, but he was in preseason, right?
Yes.
Okay, is it just Inbom Wong that has kept him out of the team? Because I mean, when you look at the squad now, you're like, how has this guy not played before, or not played more before?
Yeah, I think it is Inbom, and the fact that he was unproven. So, do you throw him in at the start of a season? No.
Or was he? I think he did have some, not niggling injuries, but he did have some blowback from the other injury from last year. He wasn't 100%
he had a couple of injuries last year, if I remember right. I don't think it was one. I think he had a setback from the first injury.
And he wasn't fully fit. He wasn't preseason, but he wasn't fully fit to go for a full 90.
But I mean, if you're looking at midfielders that you were going to play, it's obviously it's going to be Owusu, it's going to be Tybert. That I know that's arguable, but just the way that things have gone, Tybert, Andy Rose, Inbom, they're all ahead of him in the pecking order. And then depending what formation MDS plays, there's not a lot of room for midfielders in there.
But would you say that's changed now based on these last two games?
Think that, yeah. Well, I think it's changed now, not just by his performance, but I think Mark is trying different formations and trying to maybe utilize the midfield a bit more, because that's where everything's fallen down this year with the midfield. I mean, we've been able to score goals when strikers get the ball. And something that MDS said about Cava after the match was that he feels that Cava needs to feel that he's not the only guy that is getting attention from defenders. So there has to be other threats out there. And I feel we haven't really had those other threats. And part of it is because the midfield's not been creating to release other things. So everything has fallen on Cava's shoulders. And we know Cava's a good striker. He's shown it throughout his career. I said in last week's show about MDS, you don't become a bad coach overnight. You don't become a bad striker overnight either. You need to have the service. And Cava's not the kind of guy that makes things happen himself. He relies on service. And that's why the midfield's been important. And I think that's what's changed now, that we're going to see a more impactful midfield. And I mean, Baldissimo stood out for me tonight in the midfield. Owusu and Tybert were kind of invisible. I was watching it with half an eye because, as I said, I was editing my other podcast, but I didn't feel that I noticed them.
I noticed when he had to go get a new boot. Did you notice?
And I noticed at the end when he was down in a bit of pain, Owusu as well, with whatever had happened.
Oh yeah, Owusu, yeah. I think you're talking about Russell. I saw Russell had to go change.
Oh yeah, Rusty. I saw Rusty get his different kind of Frankenstein boots out there, but yeah. But I mean, that made it 2-1. For those of you listening to this on the podcast, we'll take a little break now, and we'll be back chatting more Whitecaps after this. For everyone in the stream, we'll just continue now, and we'll get to your chat soon. There's a lot of stuff in the YouTube chat. We've had a lot of tweets as well, so we're getting to all of that. But if we continue just breaking down the game quickly. So, I mean, it was 2-1, and I was feeling confident because I thought, yeah, we'll be under pressure, but I fancy us to see it out. But then when Pozuelo tied it up in the 71st minute,
and that was an easy goal for him to finish off.
It was more poor defending, which was the story of the night, really, from the Whitecaps' point of view. If you're looking at the downside tonight, it was the defending. Jake, I need to maybe see it again. I blamed him in our chat saying that Jake was at fault for it. He certainly let him get goal side off him and didn't really seem to do much of a challenge. But then you can't do much of a challenge in the box without giving away a penalty. But he let him get in goal side of him. And then after that, there's not a lot you can do.
Well, Jake had somebody behind him too that he was marking as well. So he had
two guys.
And you could almost say it's it could be Andy Rose's fault partially. You could also say one of the midfielders should have came back to cover and put another man in the box to cover on that. So there were a number of these, but it was a perfect cross by Piatti on that one. But it was so easy because there was nobody around Pozuelo to even, I think even if somebody was a half step closer to him, that would have put pressure on him. Maybe he doesn't get the right header on there. But it was way too easy for that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good finish. Don't get me wrong. It was a great cross pinpoint onto his head. But yeah, it was disappointing, and I really feared the worst at that point.
Yeah, in a moment we're going to talk about how Jake's goal ends up winning the match, but you see why Eric Godoy has an opportunity to play right back because even though he was not great on the first goal, I think overall he's probably better defensively than Jake Nowitzki is as a right back. Now Jake might arguably provides more going forward, but when we're talking about defensively, Jake did not look good on that goal. And if he had two guys there, then that's where you got to communicate. Communication comes into it as well, right? But yeah, the defending was the defending on the goals in a couple. Well, we'll talk about it later, but defending on the goals did not look good.
I just realized I don't have my headphones on, so hopefully the sound is okay for everyone that is listening to this on the stream. If it's not, let us know in the chat, and I'll stick some headphones on and sort that out. But yeah, I feared the worst. Wasn't to be though, because the Whitecaps showed some real grit, some real fight, and Jake Nowinski, goal machine, as we talked about at the start, and it was a well-taken goal. He said he's targeted getting more in the six this year. He said that at the start of the season when he got the goal in that home opener. And it's great. It's what we need from both our fullbacks. It was nice for him because you were starting to think, well, he's not in the starting lineup. We've got Godoy now in at right back. Bikel can play right back. Mukalumbwa can play right back. It's the writing maybe on the wall for Jake. You have to wonder things like that when he's left out the starting lineup. But came on, was hungry, put in a good shift, and well taken goal.
Yeah, you're talking about the fullbacks. It started with the fullback because Ali Adnan threw in the free kick first. Andy Rose picked it up, sent it right back into the box, and then pretty much slotted in. I think he was almost the second wave of players that were in that box. So it came right to him. He put it in, and it's not for a fullback. That's probably not even an easy finish. You think you would be able to put it in, but he came in really fast to him. He was able to slot it in, so it's a good finish. And it was funny because Baldissimo made up for his mistake on the defensive side by scoring a goal, and then he got Andy Rose and Jake combining to make up for their mistake on the goal by Pozuelo. So good on both of them to get that lead back that they had given up.
Yeah, you got to be happy for Jake to be able to fight back and provide the winning touch there. In terms of the match as a whole, the official man of the match was Baldissimo. Would you guys agree with that?
I would put Hassal ahead of him, and we haven't even talked about him yet. But no. I would put Hassal over Baldissimo at this point.
That's what I was going to say too. Who do you think, Michael?
Oh, we lost him.
I maybe shouldn't have connected headphones because now I can't hear anything. Okay, let's take that back out. Right. So, in answer to your question, I think I would have given it to Baldissimo, actually.
I'm with Steve. To me, there was at least 4 very quality saves and 1 or 2 match-winning saves from Hasal that I think it's a 4-3 or a 5-3 game without him.
Yeah, I think if you put in top 5 plays of the game for the Whitecaps, I think 4 of them are Hasal and 1 is Baldissimo. The 2 saves that really stood out to me was the one just before the half. That diving save that was headed to the top corner, and then the last chance that they had, I think 82nd minute, Osorio right in the box, and like almost like dead on. It went right to him, but it was a hard shot. He could easily spilled it, and that could have been disastrous either.
Yeah, it wasn't though. We held on for the win. What more could you want on a Saturday night? Just before the Labour Day weekend, it was not a laboured performance. There was a lot of improvement still needed. MDS said after the match, might be paraphrasing a little bit, but pretty much he said he's happy with the 3 points. And he says he might be coming across as being hard, but he just feels that there's still so much room for improvement in that team. And everyone that spoke, Cava, Jake, they said the same thing. It's like, yeah, 3 points, but we still have so much to improve on.
The thing is, the one thing I'd like to see them improve on is improving their possession, but also making something of their possession. Like the first goal was a quick counterattack, and the other 2 goals were set pieces, basically, or extended set pieces, or whatever you want to say. So it'd be nice if they had possession and could do something from it. I think that would be the number 1 improvement, other than defensive play. But I think if you do that, your defensive play will improve as well.
When you're talking about this match as a whole, yeah, I would say Vancouver is worth the win. However, like Steve is saying, the way they got the win was off, the first goal was nice, a nice build up, and, but the other 2 goals are both from set pieces or offset pieces or broken second fade, whatever. But so they really need to work at creating more from play, and that's where when you talk about Hasal's contribution, he's like, they're giving up quality chances that he's having to stop, that you don't see them in turn making, other than the one for the opening goal. So that's really, that I agree with Steve. They need to work at it feels like as a group collectively creating chances better in possession and not only from the counterattack.
If we're talking about goalkeepers, then I think Thomas had a great game. I think he's really grown into the position. He's getting stronger with every game. He looks more commanding. He's looking more confident. How worried were you when he went down at the end there, and Brian Meredith, who wasn't medically cleared to play today, we had Isaac Boehmer on the bench, and he was all stripped, looking like he might have to come on. How concerned were you at that point that we'd be on our 4th string keeper?
A little, like, it might be 5%, but I feel like Hasal played like the veteran thing and milked it for everything that he had.
Yeah.
Like, I think this guy is so cool under pressure. Like, even after, he celebrated the win, then he turned around and he gave that same like smirk that he's been giving. And then I think I remember talking to you guys off air, and I kind of said he kind of has that look of the Joker. Yes. From the Batman. Like, he has that kind of look where he could play the Joker if they ever wanted, as a Halloween costume or something like that. He's got that look. So he's got that smirk, and I think he knows what he's doing. And I think in that case, I don't think it was that much of a concern for me.
Okay, let's keep this theme going then. If he's the Joker, who would be the Riddler? Who is the mystery man in the Whitecaps?
Jordi Reyna right now, because nobody knows if he's coming or going.
Mr. Freeze?
Well, it would have been Lucas Cavallini before, because he was so cold, like ice cold for scoring goals.
I'm thinking Freddie Montero. He seems frozen out of the lineup right now.
Yeah, well, he was in the 18, wasn't he, or no?
He was, but he didn't come on. The Penguin.
Ooh.
Well, Baldissimo's kind of smaller, right?
I probably go Tybert.
Hey, Baldissimo's smaller, and he has those. I mean, the Penguin has those little robots that are bombs, and he hit a bomb.
I'd actually say Tybert, and I'll give you the reason afterwards. I'm not going to say that on live on air.
Oh, okay.
And it's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with his height.
Oh, wait. No, I don't know if this is for this part, but we might be ahead of this, but I think Naveed just said in the comments that Jeff Anderson should be one of those characters.
Who would be Two-Face? Or should we just leave our discussion here?
Yeah. Let's stop right there. There's too many options, and none of them are probably on the pitch.
Okay, let's move on then.
That was a great game, Michael.
Let's get into the chat.
Naveed says Jeff Anderson should be the Riddler. This is like, what does he do? I'm guessing.
Who would be Bane? Probably Wondolowski, because he's the Bane of the Whitecaps, always scoring against us. Ra's al Ghul. I could go on for this for a while here. This is great. This is
Ra's al Ghul. See, there's so many people that would be. Ra's al Ghul is, I don't want to get in trouble because this is a live YouTube. We can't edit this out.
Okay, let's move on. Last Batman thing that we'll say then is the trailer for the new film, which is on suspension at the moment because Batman has COVID. I'm stunned by that. He wears a mask. How can he get COVID? But anyway, that aside, I love that they're using Nirvana's Something in the Way, because that's one of my all-time favorite Nirvana songs that I feel does not get the recognition that it deserves.
Yeah, it was a good trailer. It was a perfect song too.
Wait, what did you say?
Your chat message.
What did you say? Oh, I see your chat message now too.
Right. Let's move on. You do know the chat message just goes up in the live stream.
Not on our live stream. Not on the YouTube. It's on ours.
Anyway,
I know how Zoom works.
I'm putting down our win tonight to my lucky Indian. Not Steve. I went and got an Indian tonight before the game from Chakra in Burnaby. Highly recommended. Chicken karahi and lamb methi. So that is now going to have to be my pre-match meal until the Whitecaps lose again. So diabetes or MLS Cup, here we come.
Wait. People are inspired by this in the chat.
Oh, cool.
People are saying Jeff Anderson is more like Two-Face, I think. But then Caleb Wilkinson also says, Tybert is clearly Ra's al Ghul. People keep saying he's done, and he keeps coming back.
Oh, very good.
Not a bad shout.
Let's get to some of the chats now. And also for those of you listening on the podcast, you'll be delighted to know that this is also the start of Football Violence Awareness Month. And for those of you in the stream, I'll just show off my T-shirt that I'm wearing to celebrate the thing tonight.
Don't stand up too high. We don't want to know if you're...
Look at that. Yeah.
Football
Scottish
violence?
band. Yep, Scottish skinhead band. The good type. Just stress that. And I've also, because I'm doing the East 5 podcast now, we've kicked off Football Violence Awareness Month and that. So we're like across 2 continents, we are honouring the fallen, the football hooligans who have nothing that they can do right now because of COVID. They can't go and meet. They like to wear their masks, obviously, but I mean, that aside. But we'll get to that when we get to Wavelength. Let's get to some of the chat just now. So we can take a little bit of time going through this and just take turn about reading it. If I get my screen here to work. So let's kick things off. The very first message, Norberto's said he's glad we're back. He saw the Whitecaps highlights, didn't watch the full game, and he's surprised that they won. He just hopes that they keep the momentum going. And that is the thing now, because, yep, we're cock a hoop. We've got 3 points. We're not bottom of the West. We're actually third bottom now because Colorado and San Jose drew tonight 1-1. So we're third bottom, 9 points from 9 games. So we've got our points per game up to a full 1 now. It was looking as we were the only team in MLS that was below 1. But this doesn't count for much if we don't keep it going. We've got to take something from these next two games against Montreal.
Stefan Erickson says, but hey, are we going to be getting free fries?
I think we do, because we scored 3 goals. So I think
that
gets us
I thought it was a slushy or haircuts.
Haircuts for three goals.
Well, I don't think any of us need that.
No, and I think that there's going to be a bunch of trees planted too, or something. Is that still happen?
Is that for corner kick?
Is that to shore up our defense a little bit?
Yeah, maybe.
Do the Whitecaps have any corners today?
Oh, talking of haircuts, I haven't shared this with you guys, so I'll share it live on the stream. A sponsor has got in touch with us, looking to work in a partnership with us. This is genuine. I'm not bullshitting. I'm making this up. And Steve, you'll know who these sponsors are from watching the Wrestle Talk videos.
Oh, you're talking about those guys, the Manscaping.
Manscaped.
Yeah,
are looking to partner with us. So we're going to have to shave our big hairy balls. I'm all for that if it gets us.
I'm all for that. Yeah, for sure. I'm in.
Yeah. Caitlin will be all for that as well, I think.
Live on the next YouTube stream.
Oh, there we go. That'll get us the sponsorship, because we're still in negotiations. I'll put that to them. You up for that, Zach?
Yeah, not so much, but
the beards.
I guess for me, how much we're talking about? How much of that do I see?
For me, the beard stays, but everything else can go.
Oh yeah,
I'm similar, but yeah, like as long as I'm making more than Steve currently makes, then
I don't know if we can afford that though. But I mean, we'll see. But yep, so you've got it here. We'll shave our balls for Manscaped live on the next YouTube stream.
Look, they already got free. They already got a free one before even entering the contract. We got to stop talking about them. Wait till they sign the deal, then you talk about them.
Fantastic company, by the way. They also, like, for once you are shaved and beautifully groomed down there, they've got special oils and lotions and stuff that you can rub on yourself. Oh, Steve's camera's gone. I think he's away.
No,
manscaping himself right away. It was too much for him. He just had to manscape right now.
I was looking for the pictures.
What, big hairy balls? We could maybe get one of the like, instead of doing our "Hi, I'm Johnny Russell" and you're listening to the Aftn Soccer Show, it could be "Hi, I'm Johnny Russell and I use Manscaped to shave my big hairy Scottish balls."
This is probably the appropriate time to read this text I got last week. It said, "For a moment, I thought you were in my neighbor's backyard. Nope, he was just listening to your podcast." The spouse of one of my coworkers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, let us know where you listen to the podcast. If you listen to us in any exotic places, let us know. Let's get back to the chat.
I don't consider Abbotsford being exotic.
That was actually Kunrad's neighbor.
Oh, okay.
I class Abbotsford as being the interior, so I think we're fine. Anyway, Murray Lynn says that MD has said on the radio that Reina needs to show more in training. So yeah, you mentioned that one already. Ryan McLeod, Zach seems to be getting decent Wi-Fi in the middle of a forest. You are. And it's like, I mean, is that the only forest we're talking about? Are you needing Manscaped to get through the forest? Do I have to mark this now? Paid sponsors.
You're giving them too many plugs, man. We haven't even got any money from them.
This is to help us get the money. Like, see, look at the fun shtick we can do for you. I'm just amazed that they would go from sponsoring Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder to us.
You got to hit all the marks.
Yeah. But I don't want to be hit by Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury, just to stress that. Anyway, let's get back to the chat, because I seem to have derailed us a bit. I'm quite good at that. Did that considerably in the East 5 podcast earlier, which was interesting because a lot shocks me. But I story on this week's Glory Days of Gold East 5 podcast that actually shocked me for players when he was playing third tier football at the time. A death threat sent to the club, to the west of Scotland again. His life was at risk. It's like, Wow, you're threatening third-tier Scottish footballers. That's just like, oh. Anyway. It said there my internet connection was unstable, so hopefully you're still hearing me. Could be Manscaped hacking us. Okay, anyway. Noberto says, I think Reina not being on the 18 at least is a sign that he and MDS are at odds now. If Reina is in MDS's doghouse, I can't see Reina staying here before the season ends as Peru starts World Cup qualifying soon. You know what? I just want him to go now. Noberto follows that up by saying Reina wants to play for the national team and needs playing time to be considered by the coach. Well, if he wants playing time, if you go ATR, by the way, Zach, if you're curious, when they were in WWE, they had a whole back shaving thing. But anyway, but if Reina wants playing time, he needs to show he wants playing time. I am all for him moving on just now. He does not give us the consistency we need. Yes, he's a talent, but we need more than that. We need also a guy that's going to give it all for his coach. And it does feel that, and we talked about some senior players that we didn't name last week. You can join the dots here. But Reina needs to show the coach the respect and play that he wants to be in this team.
I hear you. I totally hear what you're saying, Michael. But looking at it from another perspective, if you go back to the comments that you shared last week about, I think it was last week, about Axel Schuster saying, oh, yeah, no, MDS is good for this year. Beyond this year, we're going to see what's going to happen. Surely that has to come into play in terms of like, if MDS, if Schuster and the people he works with have already determined that MDS is not going to be here next year because it's the end of his, the first 2 years of his deal, and it's, option
no, he's got a 3-year deal.
Whatever, yeah, whatever. They're going to get rid of him, whatever. Would you not think, hey, we want to see what our new coach can get out of Jordy? Now, I say all that. I don't want MDS to go. I'm not one of those people, but I'm just saying, to talk about the other side of what you just said, him not playing for this coach. It seems like that is at least part of the case. But if you have only a few games left this year, why would you get rid of him if you're also planning on bringing in a new coach? You know what I mean? Unless you get money or something that's, something in return, which.
I mean, to me, he's too up and down. He's like the seesaw of the Whitecaps playground. What other players could be playground things? Who would be the swing set? Who would be the monkey bar? We'll save that for next week. We've already done the Batman thing. So let's get back to some more chat. David Masinchi, great fight by the boys. So happy to see Hassao and Baldy grow. Let's be honest though, TFC is at another level. On another day, TFC wins this easily. And yeah, I mean, MDS touched on it after the match. The difference in quality between TFC and the Whitecaps is phenomenal. TFC are the best team in Canada right now. I think Montreal could give them a good run for their money in the future. But, I mean, they do look to be on a different level, and it just didn't happen for them tonight. That sometimes happens. We talked about this in our chat before the match. A lot was made this week, and even Cava spoke about it pre-game, about no one likes to come and play on this turf. And that's a change, because it was the narrative this week. The team played on turf, trained on turf instead of grass, so the players could get used to it, give them that advantage, because you're getting teams that's coming that is, I don't know, like used to playing on grass, doesn't do much of stuff like that. What do you think is the reason that they're now focusing on playing up the advantage of turf?
I think they're just trying to get in TFC's head or something like that. I think it was just a kind of gamesmanship kind of thing, because they know that people hear that all the time, that people come in and complain about the turf after the game. What did somebody ask him about that, or did he bring it up on his own? That's the other thing.
I think he brought it up on his own. I'm not sure. I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
It was I think they're asking about advantages of home advantage or something like that. Stu Walter. Okay. But no, Michael, I think there's been partly a philosophical change, but like, we do know that players used to get fined if they said anything negative about the turf. Now, I know what he's saying is maybe not his own opinion or his own perspective on the turf, but I think previous times we would not have heard people say what he said kind of so openly, putting down the turf, but saying, "Hey, we're going to use it to."
He never complained about the turf. He said other teams, other people don't like playing on it. So that's kind of a workaround where he's not complaining about it. He's saying that other people come in and don't like it, so we might as well take advantage of it.
But did Michael Youn also say it sounded like that was kind of coming out of the Whitecaps camp this week as a whole?
Well, yeah, because MDS was talking about the fact that they were training on turf because they know it can give them an advantage. So, I mean, just reading between the lines of that, it's like, because we know it's difficult to play in turf and it's not ideal. And I mean, it isn't ideal. What did you think of the crowd noise being pumped in, and there was music getting pumped in as well to the stadium?
I didn't
like it either too much. It was it seemed like there were some people live there as well. It didn't seem like it was like there were some people cheering. How many staff were there? Was there quite a bit, or
I don't know.
It's a good question for
quite a few media. I don't know how many media were there.
Well, not just the media, but like I feel like especially when they were announcing the goals, and they said thank you. The announcer says thank you, and there were a lot of people that said you're welcome, and it seemed like a live thing. So maybe they had people huddled around the microphone.
That was pumped. That was pumped in. I think.
Was that pumped in? Because that's like so. There were only. It looked like there were only a few people that said you're welcome and stuff like that.
And Michael, was it pumped into the stadium or into the broadcast or both? Like
the stadium.
I think it was stadium.
The players could hear it.
If you're gonna do that, why would you? It was almost like they did it halfway. Like to me, it was like so quiet and so like, just I don't know. It was just I don't like the idea. Two, I don't think the execution was done in the best way.
I mean, I was stunned when they were pumping it in. That at one point in the broadcast, I heard "Bobby out" shouted from the crowd. I mean, I thought it's really authentic. They've really gone for realism here.
I also remember BC Place is a very cavernous stadium, so if they might have thought their levels were good and there, and it might not have came out across on the TV.
That's fair.
Yeah, I also can't believe BC Place security failed to stop that streaker as well. That never changes. I was also surprised that Har did it, but I mean that's a whole other story.
At least she was wearing a mask.
Yeah, not a lot else. It's an interesting place to wear her mask as well, I thought, but I think it was better for everyone that she did have it on there.
Remember, we can't edit this.
Can't edit the live one. The podcast can get edited.
Right. Okay.
This will make our Aftn clips website that we're starting.
It's after 10 o'clock too, so it's okay.
Oh, does that mean I can take my top off as well?
This all the clips website. It starts with the Alpine Club sessions.
Oh yes. Oh, that'll be such a gas, I tell you. Anyway, let's get back to the chat. So, if the club is going with the youth movement, asks Norbertos, get tons of Gam and Tam for Reina now. That's an interesting one because we are starting to build up Gam and Tam.
Yeah, I think even if they don't, start a youth movement or anything like that, I don't think Reina's an extra right now. They have plenty of other players, and they should be bringing in new players anyway. So why not take advantage and get something for him at this point if he wants to move on? And he's been a problem at the Whitecap. So I think I agree with you fully that he should be gone and moved on.
Here's an interesting one then, just to play on what Zach said earlier. So we all want MDS to continue. Let's just state that for the record now. But let's speculate the hypothetical. If the club feel that they want to move him on at the end of the season, do you give him all this Gam and Tam to spend now, or do you wait to see if a new guy's coming in? And if we don't make any big splashes with this Gam and Tam, is that maybe an indication that they're thinking they might want to go with a new guy and not spend it just now?
Totally understand that, but isn't it Axel Schuster's call to see who brings in?
Oh, that's
so
true.
If he's okay,
I keep forgetting he's like,
yeah. So if he's okay
he's
with
the great poopah now and the overseer.
So if he's okay with those players coming in, and if it's whatever system, I'm assuming they want to run a similar system. They said they want to find a system and run it all the time. Even
well, yeah, but if you bring a new coaching staff, a new coach might be like, no, I'm 4-3-3, or no, I'm
no. I understand
3-5-2, or
I understand that, but they said that once they bring in this coach, they want to have one system and bring in the same type of coach, not like change it back and forth. So if you're bringing in,
well, I mean, he said he like they're looking for the final solution. He said that a couple of times now, and what is the identity of the team, and that was something Cava talked about after the game. I'll play that for the folk that's listening on the podcast just now. Just what Cava said when I asked him about the difference in the team now and what it was like out east. So here's what he said. And if you're watching, I'll tell you what he said. If you haven't heard it, Cava basically said that he felt the biggest difference was the team was looking for an identity and they didn't have it yet. And then Jake Nerwinski said what the identity needs to be and stuff like that. What do you think the identity of this team should be with the personnel that we have just now? Did we get a sign tonight of what that identity is going to be?
Not yet. No, they're not even close to having especially I remember the first meeting, like presser we had with MBS when he explained what he wanted to do with this team. They're not close yet. They're not even a 10. I don't even think they're 10% of what he wanted, especially in that midfield. So no, they're not close yet. So I don't think they have anything right now. Right now, they're kind of playing it. They're on the fly right now. They're playing it on the fly or whatever you want to call it. They're just going week by week and seeing what they can do with the lineup.
Again, the problem with the victory tonight is it does not feel replicable. And so, what is the identity? Bunker and hope. Bunker and take the one chance you get. Bunker and then hope for some set piece goals. Like, again, not to just take anything away from the 3 points or the performance of the players and their effort tonight, I think was, there for everyone to see. But in terms of like an actual identity as a football club, I don't think tonight's a game where you point to and say, no, this is helpful in moving forward and shaping who we are.
Well, Nalberto says in the chat that he agrees with you that bunkering and playing counter-attacking works 3 out of 10 times, but it won't get us a lot of points or wins ultimately.
Now, this is probably going to come off pretty negative, but it might be an example. I don't know if you guys agree, but a polished turd is still a turd.
Yeah, it's probably harsh, but I understand.
No. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just using an example of what I couldn't find a middle of the road example that wasn't too harsh. So that's the best.
There's the whole lipstick on a pig thing. You put lipstick on a pig.
I was thinking about that one too.
It's still a pig, but probably more. Put some nice and a little bow in its hair, and it's very sexy, and it does the job on a Saturday night.
Yeah, so I was going to say that, but I was afraid
for a minute there.
I was going to say that I was afraid you were going to take a shot at Sandeep or something like that, so I decided not to go with that.
Oh,
I thought you would
touching that.
Hey, I thought you were going to because
obviously
it's after 10:30, so I don't know what you.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So okay, getting back to the football.
We're in a hole.
The one thing that from tonight that you could say has been in fact, but has been more in word in the recent history, and a little bit brought back by MDS and out of circumstances, is the Whitecaps can have a part of their identity as a football club that plays young players and that brings through young players. We've had lots of discussion over the years about how either well or poorly they've done at that, but that is another thing from tonight. And again, circumstances have dictated some of that, but Hassal and net and Baldissimo playing with, the South Korean gone and whatever, but that can be a part of your identity, right? When you think about, there are clubs around the world that is a very, very big part of who they are. And the Whitecaps can have that, but the problem has been in the past that they've said that this is a part of the identity, but they haven't really lived it because they've been too worried about getting wins, and they've been too the blurriness between the bottom line and the on-field ambitions it hasn't been clear, right? Which is more important, or which dictates.
Well, I mean, tonight they started 6 Canadians. They brought a further 2 on. There's a bit of an identity there, and it's MDS said after the game he knew the team had goals in them, and he just wants them to be more pragmatic in the final third. So we did see bits of that tonight, but we're still lacking that spark. We're still lacking. And I mean, bunkering, if we bunkered every game and we managed to not concede and we won games 1-0, I know I wouldn't be happy with a lot of people. I would take it because a win's a win. We've had this discussion before. That's just what I think. I know it's not pretty to watch, but it isn't sustainable. And you have to try and do something to get out of it. And I mean, just some more kind of comments just from the chat, and we'll take some from Twitter as well. Then we'll kind of wrap up the Whitecaps chat. So I'm talking Baldy from Navid saying that between the switches, he loves the fact that he plays forward and break lines. It was great quality from Baldy. Naz says Baldy has shown more in tonight's match than Wong ever did here. Only a minor exaggeration, and he's certainly not wrong there, I've got to say. Let's see what else we have here. Caleb Wilkins. Oh, that's the Ragul thing. Ryan McLeod said he would take some good Indian food over watching the Caps most nights. So as I said, I recommend Chakra in Burnaby Heights, or also Sula Restaurant is my favorite Indian in Vancouver on Commercial Drive. It's fantastic. Naveed wants to know where I get my T-shirts from. Now, my football violence T-shirt, just to show this again. First of all, just to point out, yes, it is a skinhead band, but they're a good skinhead band. It was a little bit worrying that I did order it from a German website, because when you're getting that through the mail, through customs, and they're like, oh, let's see what this T-shirt is from Germany. It arrived, it was all good. So I got it on a site in Germany, but I get a lot of my T-shirts on eBay. I've got a really good Sabutio Hooligan T-shirt, and I've been ordering some new strips recently as well. My new East 5 tartan strip, it's on its way. So hopefully for next week's show, I can have that on. I'm going to order the new Wimbledon strip as well, and I got my Glenorthis FC strip. And yeah, I've got a Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine T-shirt coming. I had one before, but I gave it to an ex-girlfriend, and I never got it back when we split up. Anyway, moving on. Do you want to read any more of the things here?
You need to read. There's one for you.
Oh yeah, Meow Mixology. How would the Whitecaps do in the third tier of Scottish football? That's interesting, because I don't know if they actually have the fight, some of the players, to go week in, week out there, because that is a tough league. It's a lot of tough tackling. Someone like Baldissimo, David Norman Jr. before him, they would do very well. David Norman Jr. went and played second tier Scottish football and did excellent there. They should walk most of the matches, but they would be up against some full-time teams that are used to that level. So that would be an interesting one. If we can get some East Fife to fly over, maybe play some pre-season friendlies against the Whitecaps, that's my dream. The Whitecaps go and do a tour of Fife in Scotland. Oh, Aftn yeah.
Presents.
Yeah,
fantastic.
With the Manscaped deal, we can get that done.
Meow
I don't think they'll be paying us that much. I think we're just going to get some free things to shave our pubes, but I might be wrong there.
Good for it.
Now Mixology also says turf is our DP.
It is. It damages players. Murray Lynn says, am I going to order Chelsea's new third kit? Pink with blue stripes would look smashing on me. No, but if I'm going to get a pink and blue strip, it's going to be Dulwich Hamlet. I've been wanting one for a couple of years now, but their shipping to Canada is horrendous. And then I wanted to order it when I went back to Scotland, but they had sold out, so I couldn't get one. But anyway, now some tweets I want to get to. I know there's nothing more boring than just someone sitting reading tweets and emails and stuff, but there is some good stuff here I want to get to. Jonathan at LOJD Vancouver says, we look more comfortable being at home from what I could tell. Played some fight, which I wasn't expecting. Great strike from Baldy. Good to see Cava get off the mark. Wasn't sure that we were clearly the better team, but we led 3 times, which is impressive considering. And I do feel we have to make this home advantage pay. And I mean, let's get to the big elephant in the room now. No one knows what's happening next. The next stage of the MLS schedule is expected to get announced midweek, but there's still some big stumbling blocks about what's happening with the Canadian teams. And I think some pushback from what I've been hearing from the Canadian teams of, we do not want to relocate to the States. We've got families, players have families. We don't want to be away for a couple of months to do this. I don't know what the answer is because I don't see the border opening anytime soon. I don't see quarantining ending anytime soon unless they make special deals for the players just to come in and come out. TFC arrived Friday, stayed Friday night in a hotel, played today. They'd considered flying home tonight, but they're flying home tomorrow. So that's a 3-day trip for them, but they're Canadian. Would the government here be happy for an American team to do that? I don't think so.
Definitely not. Now, haven't TFC in Montreal already secured their places?
That was the rumor, but I've been hearing some stuff that there might be a bit of pushback now because it's a lot of expense, it's a lot to demand of the players. And I think some of the senior players are possibly standing up and saying, look, we've got young families. We do not want to be away from them for potentially, if you were mid-September and the season's going on till December, that's a lot to ask. I wouldn't do it. If you don't like your wife, you maybe would. So
it's good to know you like your wife. No, yeah, it is.
She's listening, so I have to say that. Yes, I like my wife. She is the best thing to have happened to me.
Blink if you're in trouble.
Only joking, Caitlin. Love you. Anyway,
we lost Zach for a bit.
Yeah, Dennis at Den_Moren says Caps finished better tonight. This is 3 goals. Possession was still lopsided. It was like 2/3 to a third for TFC.
67-33.
Some stages of the match, it was even way more than that. Defensively, the Caps are still a nightmare. Yeah, we won. Everything's okay for now. We don't need to spend any more. Yeah, that is my worry. We need to make moves, and it is going to be interesting if we do make them now, or if we hold
where are they? Where are they now? Are they like, because they're giving mixed signals all the time, saying they're going to make moves. Do they want to make moves? Do they want to spend wisely and stuff like that?
MDS says they're actively looking to make moves, and they're looking within MLS. And Kyle Becker's obviously been a guy that's been mentioned. He's now leading scorer, joint leading scorer in the CPL that we're going to talk about next. Yeah, I don't know. But that's it for our Whitecaps chat basically just now, unless you guys want to say anything else.
No,
I just want to say that, yeah, they do need to do stuff because, like I think it was Dennis or whoever the last two was from said, things aren't okay just because they won a match, right? Like there are still major problems at the football club. I mean, even this week alone, again, if you go on Twitter, some more people talking about how they've canceled their tickets. One person who had tickets from the 70s, one person who has had tickets in Swangard. They're still and they're saying, I don't want to give my money to this ownership group, and that's a problem. Even if that was 2 people, if you're this ownership group, if you work for this organization, you should see that as a problem, not as, oh, we'll just replace those people. And that's really been their attitude up to this point, and they need to change some things because
you saw that tonight. The stands were empty.
Yeah. Well, no. The thing is they replace these people. The problem is you're not going to replace the people with the results you're getting right now. So that's not going to happen unless you spend money again, because you need to make this team bigger, better.
Well, if you're losing the hardcore, the only thing you're going to replace it with is the casuals that you're hoping to become the hardcore. And that's a tough ask then if you don't have a winning team in the pitch.
Or like a squad that intrigues people. And no offense to this squad, but it doesn't really intrigue most people.
There's a few players that certainly intrigue me as to what they're doing just now, but that's a whole other thing.
As Meow Mixology just said in the comments, though, hang tough.
He's got a new job.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nets. That'll take his mind off things for a while. He thought, I'm not going to get any nets watching the Whitecaps bulging, so it's like, let's go and play some basketball. Anyway, that is it for our Whitecaps chat. For those of you listening on the podcast, we're going to be back talking CPL after this. And for those of you on the stream, let's get into the CPL chat just now. So we're recording this on Saturday night. It's going out live. The podcast is going to come out Saturday night, Monday morning. So I'll record some extra stuff to go in it, bring you some audio from different post-game press conferences that I was on today. I'll be on some tomorrow as well. But there's 2 matches left now as we record this in the first phase of everything that's gone on. Forge clinched their spot. Pamaduka. I hope he brought that with him, the hoverboards. But Forge clinched their spot in the phase 2, the final 4 today, with a draw with Valor FC. And I've got to give Rob Gale and his Valor team full credit. That was a gutsy performance. Rob spoke after the match that they had 9 players injured for this one. And it looked like their goalkeeper, Pantemis, who's played all 7 games, he's on loan from Montreal, he's been fantastic. He injured his ankle as well, and it looked like they had to call up an emergency keeper, but he decided he could play. So, I mean, to put in that performance, and Rob as well, folk could say it's making excuses, but I think he's right. They had 2 very controversial calls go against them. If they'd got those calls in their favour, they could have got an extra 4 points. Obviously, the Queen of Balls, etc., etc. But I mean, that's 4 points that puts them into the final 4. That's the fine lines, the narrow margins that Rob will love to talk about and was made a fool of a lot of times for it. But it's true, football's full of that. So, I mean, full credit to Valor. The foundations that Rob Gale is building there, I think is very good for this team's future.
For sure. And considering, I think they were really, I can't remember what their standing was last year, but they were pretty poor in the standings.
And injuries last year as well. It's like,
and they were bottom of the table. So it's good that they bounced back. They obviously made quite a few changes. And even some of the big changes they made, like Brett Levi's, for example, I don't know if he was healthy for this game, but last game he came off injured.
He was back with his knee. It still wasn't right, but he was back playing.
Yeah, him and Fraser played today, and it was fun to watch them play. Nigel Reed kept calling him Levy. So at first I was like, oh, he's not. I don't think he's playing, but I thought I saw him, and then I realized he was calling him by the wrong name. But
I wouldn't go with anything that Nigel says.
No.
Yeah.
Dog's just shaking. She agrees.
He set up the opening goal. It was a corner, and he put in the ball that led to the goal, which was nice.
It was nice to see him playing again. And the question that I asked after the match to a few of the Valor guys, and I mean, I'll put it to you guys now as well. So for 4 of these teams, and right now we know it's only Edmonton and Valor, but there's going to be 2 more teams by the end of Sunday that's their season finished. So they've had months to prepare, months of uncertainty as to what's going on. Now they have a couple of frantic weeks to play 7 games, and that is it until April next year. And Rob Gale said he's only going to have 3 or 4 players going back now to Winnipeg. Everyone else is going to Canada, around the world. And I'll play some audio from Valor just now if you're listening to this on the podcast. So we'll hear that now. But basically what they were saying is, I mean, it's not a situation that's great for Valor or these other teams. Rob wants something in place for the CPL to maybe have an Island Games pre-season tournament in January, so you can bring players in early, evaluate the players you want to look at as well, trialists, stuff like that. But something needs to happen in Canada soccer, because some of these guys can maybe go on loan to Europe or whatever if they're lucky enough to have a passport to do that. For other guys, they need to be playing. Like James Pantemis, the keeper for one, like he's not going to go and now suddenly dislodge Diop in Montreal, but he's had an outstanding tournament. What happens to him?
No, I agree. I think they should, at least the minimum they should have done is they should have had like a loser's bracket or whatever you could title it whatever you want. So they could have played a few more games and maybe just done it for seeding purposes for next year. or something like that. They could have came up with some reason for doing it. So maybe next year's CPL will be seeded a certain way. So they could have done that. They could have came up with something. If they had come up with this earlier, they could have done like a double, like a double tournament kind of thing, and like played half the season in one place and then played half the season in another place. But they took too long to bring this package together. It's a good thing they got this out, because as we talked before, other leagues in Canada, other more established leagues in Canada, were not able to put a season together, and it's good that they got some continuity in. So they can say that they got something in this year, and then next year they come in strong.
Well, League One Ontario has announced now that they are not having a season this year, and that's just Ontario teams. But because of the level of play, and we're facing that here with like VMSL, Fraser Valley League, and the Island League right now, the phase that they are in only allows them to have limited contact. So in a match, for example, if they were to play a match just now under the current conditions, they're not allowed to take throw-ins. It would only be kick-ins. They're not allowed to handle the ball, which seems ridiculous. You're on the pitch with these guys and the keeper's handling the ball. So, I mean, yeah. Oh, that's true, yeah.
No, but if you're gonna have those rules, you might as well just not play the game then.
Yeah, that's the worry.
I forget which league it is, but one of the leagues, I think maybe the Valley League that I heard, is actually playing this year. But Michael, you're right in terms of Steve, you're right. It would have been nice for them to have something else. I think the clear answer, the reason why they didn't have more for these 4 teams that will only play the 7 games, is simply a financial decision. I don't think it's helpful for them to be out there for longer, to have to pay for them to stay out there longer, to play games that are seeding games or consolation games. I don't think that helps them in terms of broadcasting them anywhere, CBC or even One Soccer or whatever. And so I think that's why ultimately they said, yeah, this is just gonna be all that it is. Michael, I like your idea, or your Rob Gale's idea or whatever, of having like a preseason tournament, an Island Games styled preseason tournament. I think one of the great things about the CPL being a new league, and we've talked about this many times under different circumstances in the past, is it allows them to be flexible. It allows them to be creative. It allows them to try new things. And we know that football leagues around the world, because you wanted this mix of this flexibility, this willingness to do these different things, but there's also like football tradition as well. And so, I mean, football tradition, like there's not all countries, but many countries have multiple cups within their league, right? So you're playing for the league title, you're playing for like your domestic cup, but then you also in the in England or whatever, in like France, you have a league cup, like you have a secondary cup, and having a preseason tournament that is like that kind of secondary cup could be a good thing in the long term, right? Like I think in some ways they could have even done this last year when they went to the Caribbean for preseason.
Yeah, because they were in the Dominican
against each other. I honestly don't think you're going to see that happen in January or February, but it is something they probably should think about, like long term. Could we do something that could be meaningful, that could be broadcast, but we also could have money for it, for the winners and a trophy, and build something to be meaningful, so that years down the road it is a part of our culture, right? Even like in Germany, they've done like a 4-team preseason tournament kind of thing for a league cup in the past.
And you could do the same, like you could do an Island Games on the West Coast, on Vancouver Island. You could even move it back and forth. Do one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, and alternate it back and forth from year to year. Well,
if you're doing it in January, then it makes sense to have it in Vancouver Island, because I don't think you could be playing it on PEI come January time. And I mean, that would be fantastic to kick the season off. It was something that I was hoping to ask David Clanahan before Robbie mentioned it, because I'd thought this is such a good tournament. It would be such a waste not to have this tournament going forward in some form. And pre-season makes a lot of sense to me to do that, whether it's January, whether it's March, whatever. But I mean, you could even use it to seed the Canadian Championship if things are back to normal, as to who enters at what stage or something like that. Just give it some kind of meaning. And yeah, something has to happen to get somewhere for these guys to play. That's the problem. And it's difficult in a country like Canada because you've got the winter problems with weather and everything like that. But
New Mixology asked, what about Baffin Island games?
Oh, I just remember Baffin Islands from an old Tony Hancock sketch. He was a 1950s UK comedian, and he was sent to Baffin Island. And I'd never heard of Baffin Island before I watched that, which I'll stress I didn't watch in the 1950s. I did watch the repeat of that. But it was on Saturday, Cavalry against York. Now, and in answer to Zach's question, yes.
Speaking of...
I can't be bothered typing it in the chat, so I'll just answer that.
Speaking of, because there was a question from our the YouTube chat, right, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So you can answer that if you want.
Oh no, I was answering the private message that Zach just sent. Anyway. Right. Let me get back to what I was saying. So the other game on Saturday was Cavalry against York. Now that's a rivalry that I'm enjoying. I thoroughly enjoyed the build up to this, and in particular Tommy Wheeldon's Friday press conference that I got up at 7:30 in the morning to be on, just because I knew it was going to be good. And I just love the way that Tommy Wheeldon approaches games and just approaches football. Everything. It's obviously like from coming from the same UK background. I think it's why when he's on the sidelines, Jeff Powless actually said, well, I mean, Tommy just yells for everything. He's yelling at the referees, appealing for everything. And Jeff's like, maybe I need to be more vocal. Maybe I need to be like that. And maybe I'll get calls. Tommy works the sidelines great. And his mind games and the build up to games is fantastic as well. Because he was playing York's never beaten us card. And he even mentioned, even going back to when we played in the Dominican Republic, they couldn't beat us there. And that's going back like nearly 2 years. And he's just bringing that up. And he just has little digs. And then someone asked him, York's beaten in the tournament. What do you think is behind that success for them? And it's like, well, I mean, if they like drawing that much, I mean, they can have a draw against us. I'd be happy with that. Although he got his facts wrong, because if they'd drawn this, Cavalry were in deep trouble today, because I think they would have been out depending on what happened on Sunday. And I didn't realise that until folk were talking about it today. A draw would have been enough for York to go through. Cavalry deserved 1-0 winners. It was one of those things with Tommy's teams, you always feel, and we spoke about this last week, that they've got it in them to get a goal. And they did today. They were comfortable, and I'm glad they're in the top four because they deserve to be in the top four. And it looks now York, who many people tipped pre-season to be good this year, they could be going out of this competition at the time of recording this.
Yeah, the basically, I think I think almost any one of the other three of the four teams tomorrow that are playing, if any one of them gets a win, I think York is out. Is that correct? I haven't seen the standings recently.
So right now, if Ottawa or Halifax get a win, and Pacific get a win.
Oh, okay. So they see two results. All right.
Yeah. Even a draw. If Halifax draw, they're through no matter what.
Yeah.
So if Pacific win and Halifax draw, then York are going home. And I think that would be a big shock. And I think we spoke in last week's show, I want Halifax and Pacific through. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I love the two Bens. And if Ottawa went through, great. I don't think they deserve to go through the way that they've played. The game against Pacific the other night was heartbreaking for Pacific. And it was smash and grab personified. And I think that'll be the wake-up call that's going to say to the players, look, you might have been a little bit complacent here, and they should get the job done against Edmonton. And that's two cracking games on Sunday. Looking forward to that. And for anyone watching this stream, the Pacific game is going to be on Czech TV, Island channel. I think it's 124 on Telus. I don't know what it is on Shaw, but you can watch it live on TV. Starts at 11:30 with the pre-game. It should be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, and the thing is we're going back to I want to quickly go back to the Calgary game because we should talk about this. It was a little bittersweet because there was a serious injury in there. When you look at the replay, and apparently I didn't see this, One Soccer showed the replay multiple times.
They did. They went way overboard with it.
Yeah. It was basically what it looked like to me is that the follow through that he had on the kick struck the player, and it basically, because it had no give on the turf, that's where the break happened. I don't think the break happened when he landed. When he went over and landed on his leg, I think it happened because when his
whole leg buckled.
It did, but the thing is when he that might have been a different thing, but when he was going over, going over, you could see his bottom half of his leg, and this might sound gruesome, was very loose, and it was kind of like wobbly. So you could tell that the break happened beforehand. He might have done some more damage afterwards. I don't know, but it was a pretty gruesome injury. I don't like. You were saying at least a yellow. I don't know. It was a borderline yellow for me because while it was he didn't even go into the player. He was basically just in front of him.
But he came in like for me under old rules. No, I think it was a fine challenge. I think it was fair. But with the new rules, which I'm still really struggle sometimes to get my head around, it does seem to be if you come in at speed and one of your feet at least is off the ground, then that's a red card. And Thompson did do that. Yeah.
Yeah. His left leg
speed that you come in.
Because he made no contact with the Calgary player at all. He made zero contact with him. Like directly. Like he didn't slide into his leg. The Calgary's player's leg went into the York defender, Thompson. So there was no where it was a direct contact with the leg at all.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I don't know where, because I hear what you're saying, Steve, but I also think like as a player's going to kick the ball, if I go in front of him and he gets hurt because he kicks me, don't I have some culpability in that? And I mean, there's been lots of there's been lots of concern expressed over this, as I've been talking to supporters from around the league. There've been extreme frustration over the fact that One Soccer tweeted it out, and put it out there, for people to watch over and over again. Some people are fine with that, some people aren't. But I'm a little bit not torn. I don't know. I mean, it's just sad that Oliver Mintel's has a broken bone or broken bones.
Yeah, he immediately went into surgery and they revealed that after the game, and that's how bad it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear the dude wail on the broadcast. That's how you know it was bad. It wasn't like I'm trying to get a call wail either. It was like a sincere
you could tell that there was a major injury.
That was the other thing though with the One Soccer coverage. They focused in heavily on him and his face and stuff. I didn't like that. Even when he was going off, they did as well. And it's like Steve Sander tweeted out that this was a good thing for One Soccer to learn learn how not to cover stuff. And I think hopefully, I mean, I don't mind seeing the incident, but not over and over and over, which they did. And I retweeted their tweet just because I was making a comment on it anyway, and for folk that hadn't been watching. For those in the podcast, a little bit of audio from what?
Well, sir, one of the comments I did see on it was a concern over, hey, we're trying to develop skilled players in this country, and that's part of having a league. Are tackles like that helpful, or are they just a part of the game?
True. Well, let's ask this. I'm going to ask the coaches this when probably, I don't know, I might ask them this week before some of the matches or whatever. I've been waiting for the right time to ask them, and I think between the two phases is probably going to be the best time to ask them. What's your thoughts on CPL getting VAR? Because it feels like it's badly needed, because some of the refereeing has been really poor in this first phase.
I don't want to
pile on the refs, but I mean, it's true.
I don't think it's feasible right now for them, whether it's financially or technically they'll be able to do it, because some of the stadiums probably wouldn't be able to handle it. So I'm not as sure. It might be something that they could look into 2 or 3 years down the road. So yeah, it's probably not going to happen right away.
Yeah, I think Steve's right. The financial part of it will make it hard for them. But you're also right, Michael, in that it is needed.
You could do that, like this one Central American referee who did the VAR symbol but didn't actually have VAR. I remember that happened a year and a half ago.
Maybe we could get them to do that to us, and then we could be the adjudicating panel.
I
feel for Forge if that's the case.
Vote by Twitter. Vote by Twitter.
Yes. Oh, of course. Twitter's the best place to get a proper answer.
As long as they don't put their one soccer expert in charge of it.
Oh.
I asked him a question today and he never answered me. I genuinely didn't know the answer. And I thought, I know, if I don't know an answer, I'll ask an expert. And he never answered. Which basically was when Valor were leading. I wanted to know what scenario could make Forge not qualify in all of this. Because I was curious, because they hadn't automatically claimed their berth. So I was really curious, what would the scenarios have to be that Forge wouldn't qualify? And the best reply I got from someone else was, it's okay, they're through no matter what, because there's the unannounced founders tiebreaker.
Yeah, they get bonus points.
They hit their U21 minutes, right?
Yeah, just because they had to play their goalkeeper for the whole game and this other guy as well.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a sensible way of doing it. You do everything you need in your first 6 games, pretty much qualify, and then give all the young guys minutes. It does go against the whole plan of it anyway. But I mean, Forge are through, Cavalry are through. We've got 2 more games to come that I'll go over myself in the podcast tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. That's pretty much it for tonight's show. But just before we go, I want to just get your thoughts on Victor Montagliani. This is going to come as a shock, I know. It looks like these World Cup qualifiers aren't going ahead in September and October. We said it was never going to happen. Now they're looking at maybe November, but probably March.
Maybe I don't know. Probably March. Big difference. It's just a matter of scheduling. They have to have the schedule ready to go. And I'm sure they have multiple schedules for this because they know it's probably going to get delayed. So I wasn't surprised that, like we all said, it wasn't going to happen. But you can't expect them to, maybe, the Russian vaccine comes into play and everybody's healthy again in a couple months and maybe they're ready to go. So they had to have them ready to go. But yeah, November. I don't even think November is going to happen. I think March, or they might even. What the crazy thing is, they might have to delay the World Cup. What if they have to do that for a year? It's possible.
I'm sure they'll get away not to, and they'll just be like, "Oh, we'll just go on FIFA rankings."
Well, now they got the bubble thing. Like, I'm sure they could have done the Euros back in June if they knew how successful the bubble would be. So they probably can do the bubble thing in for the World Cup or in future tournaments.
The one of the problems with that Euro was it was the first Euro to be scheduled to happen across
multiple places.
Or across Europe, yeah. Which, I mean, they still could have chose 1 or 2 of them, but yeah. It's awkward than when you have one country ready to go.
If we're talking of Euros and UEFA, the Nations League is back. And if anyone doesn't know, you can actually sign up to UEFA TV, which you can stream on a lot of smart TVs, watching your website. And the games are all free. You can watch them on demand as well. It's fantastic. I watched Scotland-Israel on Friday. So sign up for that. But I wanted to ask you guys, did you hear what happened with the Czech team?
No, missed it.
Right. So Scotland play the Czech Republic on Monday. The Czech Republic played Slovakia on Friday, beat them 3-1, and then announced that they weren't going to be playing the match on Monday due to COVID concerns. And it turned out that 2 players had tested positive. So initially, just those 2 players were quarantined, not the rest of the squad or the coaching staff that had been around these 2 players. So in the end, the Czechs said they were pulling out, and that was on Friday after the match. So then Then I woke up today to find out that the game was now back on Monday, and it's going to be an entire new Czech squad and management team that is going to be taking on Scotland. So right now, Scotland have no idea who they're playing, just that it's going to be a bunch of Czech players.
Well, that might be an advantage for you, no?
Yeah, we'll probably still lose. I mean, that's almost guaranteed. If it's a situation like that, that is also Scotland that we will now lose that game.
Can they bring like Tom Rosicky and like Jan Kohler out of retirement?
Might be.
Just as long as they don't cap Thomas Hassel.
Ooh.
Oh, he would. Yeah, might be an interesting one.
Yeah, his heritage is Czech.
Mm-hmm. So it's crazy because that's obviously going through a lot of stuff just now, and I thought it was a bit weird that they were having all this stuff going on, and there's been a lot of players gone to Spain and Greece on holiday that are testing positive, and Fonzie was in Ibiza, so fingers crossed nothing bad's happened to things to mention. It's unstable again. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Last thing. Can we plug Fonzie and Jordan's new YouTube channel?
Yeah, I saw they were launching a new one. Is it actually started?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't checked it out, but they had like an intro video or something. But yeah, I haven't watched it. But
excellent.
I'll check it out.
Want to know about the lifestyle? If you've ever I watched one Instagram live session he did, and it was of Jordan like filing his toenails and like giving him a pedicure.
Okay,
it was really fun. It was really fun.
Hey, maybe he'll get sponsored by Manscaped.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be a good deal.
Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Esso Royal City Ale Steel and Oak. But a shout out because their beer's not very good, so don't bother sending any. We don't want to be sponsors. It was really gross. I have like a 3/4 of a can left.
Well, if we're plugging things good and bad, I'll plug Two Bears Coffee, which I ordered for the first time because I kept getting Facebook ads for it. And it's very nice. It's the oat milk chai latte is absolutely delicious. And it's 0% fat and low sugar. And the oat milk black frost latte as well was really nice. And if you want to get in touch for a sponsorship deal, then feel free. I don't even need to shave my balls for you if you want it. It's fine. I'll pour your coffee on my balls if that's what you want us to do.
Oh, we have an update here from the chat. Prague Tim says in the first one of Jordan and Alfonso's YouTube videos, they were answering questions from fans about their relationship mostly. So we know Michael's going to be watching that.
Yeah. It was funny. I will tell this story because I'm sure Har's not watching. But Jordan Huitema was doing a Canadian national team thing. And the Whitecaps were there because she was their player, but they weren't really in charge of it. So a Whitecaps person, I won't say who it was, I'm sure you'll guess, was saying to her, you can't ask them any questions about their relationship, okay? That's not to get covered. And she's like, oh, okay. Say that to me. And I obviously then brought up Fonzie to her, and she was quite happy to talk about Fonzie. So she's been happy to talk. Anyway, final thing I want to talk about on this show, so I can get to watching All Out. And obviously, if you let things off. Now what, Zach?
New Mixology says S&O is usually pretty good, Steve.
I know. I just didn't like it. It's just not my cup of tea or my cup of beer or my pint of beer.
No, it's a beer.
Yeah, it's a beer.
Yeah, I just said we're getting more drunk as the show went on. I thought that's what it was.
I've had sips a little bit. I've been sipping it, but I'm not having enough to get drunk.
Okay. If anyone wants to send us some free cider, I'd be quite happy to take that on as well. Anyway, the final thing I want to mention on tonight's show is the Gold Cup. It's been announced for 2021 and 2023. We're going to have some special guests attending. Yes, Qatar are going to win the 2021 and the 2023 Gold Cup. Definitely 2021. I'm pretty sure all the Brazilians will have buggered off by the time 2023 comes round and the World Cup's finished. Thoughts?
Is it going to be still held in the US? I'm assuming you're probably.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. They've done that in the past. They've invited other countries before. I think What other Brazil was there 1 year, Mexico,
Colombia, South Korea.
Mexico's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Colombia, South Korea.
It's only when there's a wall they're not allowed to get in.
I think we should cut the show. I'm really tired. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Steve's tired, Michael. I think he's been on a boat today.
Yeah, I think he's on one just now.
Oh.
Okay, on that note, let's just wrap it up. Thank everyone for watching. Very much appreciated. Thank everyone for listening. Before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM.
You can also find Steve on Yelp, leaving horrible reviews about certain beers that he doesn't like. But that's
before we go, we should mention a nice tribute by the Whitecaps for Mario at the press room. Really nice there that we put out there.
Yeah, it made me wonder what they'll do. But I hope they have a nice little tribute.
Yeah.
I'm all expecting Zach to have a wonderful service life for me. We've gone a bit dark to finish this episode.
Sorry, say that. What did you just say?
I'm expecting you to do my memory service of life thing when I die.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. We need to lighten this up. I know. I'll get out my big hairy balls. Anyway, oh yeah, I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at Aftn Canada, on Instagram at Aftn Soccer. Give us a follow as well on here at YouTube. Please like, please subscribe, turn on notifications, leave comments, all the stuff that's going to help us get our algorithms up. If you can help us get to 1,000 subscribers as well, that would be fantastic, because then we can monetize this and we won't have to go on about shaving our big hairy balls, although we still will, because that's fun. And I don't think we should do too many more late ones of these, because I'm tired, Steve's tired, we're just talking nonsense now, and I think we should go. So as always, thanks so much for listening. Take care, stay safe, everyone. And finally, Mon Caps. Yes, 3 points. Yeah. Bye, everyone.